Board of Trustees for Monday, July the 27th, 2026. Please call the roll.
Trustee Malauulu.
Present.
Trustee Carter. Present. Trustee Camarena. Trustee Camarena. Here. Trustee Elliott.
Present.
Trustee Crenshaw.
Here.
Trustee Mason. Absent Dr. Tomaszewski.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Ilan, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure. Please join me, everyone. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so now we will go into public comments. Any member of the public wishing to address the board concerning matters within its jurisdiction may do so at this time. 3 minutes is allowed per speaker with a cumulative total of 15 minutes per group, which time may be extended by the president. Additional information regarding the format for public comments may be provided at the meeting. So this is our first meeting that is being recorded live on our social media platforms. And if there are any members of the community that are participating and would like to make a public comment, you can do so by visiting our website, and we have a link to the Zoom option as well. Okay, so unfortunately, we don't have the ability to see all of the comments that are being made live on Facebook. Okay, but if you have a specific one, we will welcome you via Zoom. Thank you. And so I will go around the room for comments from any of the trustees. Trustee Carter?
No comments.
Trustee Elliott?
No, thank you.
Trustee Tomaszewski is?
No.
Oh, there, not the T. I thought you were on Zoom.
Oh.
Trustee Crenshaw, any questions or comments? Trustee Camarena? Okay, so now we will move on to the consent agenda. Okay, so all items appearing here will be acted upon for approval by one motion without discussion. So we have items 1 through just one, which is the review and approval of the Board of Trustees minutes for our regular meeting on June the 29th. May I get a motion?
I would move to accept the minutes as stated.
Alrighty, thank you.
Trustee Malauulu.
Yes.
Trustee Carter.
Yes.
Trustee Camarena.
Yes.
Trustee Elliott.
Yes.
Trustee Crenshaw.
Yes.
Trustee Mason. Absent Dr. Tomaszewski.
Yes.
Okay, passes.
So now we will move on to officer updates. Bobby?
Leave my comments in place.
Okay, and so Trustee Mason is not with us this evening, but Veronica, would you like to defer to closed session?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So now we will move on to new business. Item number 4 is the review and approval of the term sheet with Preston Hollow for transfer of bonds and the asset transfer amendment. Okay, so,
Yeah.
Mr. Major?
Yes, good evening, everyone. We have some excellent news, long time coming, in which we've finally arrived at an agreement with Preston Hollow about the transfer of bonds, which is the last domino standing that will allow us to move towards the closing over the next couple of months. So I think that's very a significant note. The term sheet is in your board packet. It is
Can I interrupt you? Can you speak into the?
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
How's that?
Thank you. Much better.
I'll do this.
Okay.
Okay. The term sheet is in your board packet, and Just kind of briefly, the terms are discussed therein. They primarily revolve around additional security that is being provided to not just Preston Hollow, but all the bondholders effective on closing on transfer of bonds, which includes extension of the DACA agreements to cover pioneers, includes security of personal equipment at ECRMC, which is limited at present, and also security over or deed of trust over the ECRMC real property. Of course, it will no longer be ECRMC real property. It will be IBHD property once we close on the transaction, but will be the El Centro campus. Borrowing limitations, they've put caps on IBHD's ability to borrow up to $10 million for any lawful purpose or for working capital, so long as no event. Without, if you want to go above that, it requires bondholder consent. Further, it exempts debt based on any parcel tax approved by the voters, which is an anticipated source of income, not revenue. Hopefully that will be passed in November. Finally, it requires any further debt under the distressed hospital loan program to be subordinated to bonds. In addition, there are enhanced performance metrics, increase in days cash on hand, increase in the debt service coverage ratio, all of which should be achievable with the combined organization of both El Centro and Pioneers. One of the issues that was a huge sticking point over the last couple of months was Preston Hollow had raised a claim for default interest. Now this goes back to ECRMC's failure to meet the days cash on hand and debt service coverage ratios for fiscals 22 and 23. They put ECRMC in default at that point and told the trustee to start calculating default interest, but did not, but not to collect on default interest. We resolved those metrics by the end of fiscal 24, but they continued to accrue such that they were raising a claim for about $16, $17 million in default interest when it was first presented to us just like 2 or 3 months ago. So it was a late entry into the negotiations. We were successfully able to convince them that they had no legal claim to that. I won't bore you with the details of that, but there's a case law that precludes default interest on the total amount of outstanding debt, and also the fact that ECRMC had already cured the debt or resolved the debt by meeting the metrics in the following fiscal year. We've decided to, they've agreed to limit the default interest claim that they have to just the 1 year from August of 23 till end of June of 24. For that fiscal year, when it was shown that we had cured the default, which lowers the amount claimed significantly to about $5.5 million. But we still dispute the applicability of any default interest and have reserved rights. They've agreed that if we take them out with new bond issuances within 5 years, IBHD, then they will waive any claim that they have. But we reserve the right to challenge a claim if in 5 years we don't get that handled, and then we still have a right to raise the, I think, significant defenses that we have. But that's the resolution of that particular issue. Based on this agreement, if it's approved by the board tonight, it's already been approved by the IBHD board. It's been approved by Preston Hollow. There are some hoops that they have to jump through with their debt service committees and such, we'll begin to go ahead and effect the transfer of the bonds, to do all the necessary documentation, to paper over the agreement and everything that's necessary to transfer the bonds. And then there are a few more ends to tie up as we move forward. But we were looking for a mid-October at the latest close date. It's complicated a little bit by our cash on hand status, because we're going to be in the middle of an IGT and intergovernmental transfer. So we're going to be laying out significant money in mid-August, and are not guaranteed to get that money until the middle of November. But by practice and history, we've gotten those monies much quicker than that. So presumably we won't have to delay the mid-October close date. And frankly, I think it's going to be probably the lawyers papering over the documents that's going to hold it up more than getting the money to make sure our day's cash on hand meets the necessary requirements. So that's the term sheet and the next steps related to that. Because the asset transfer agreement had a provision in it that allowed any party to withdraw or to terminate the asset transfer agreement within 1 year, and the effective date was August 1st, 25. We're running up against that deadline, and just to make sure that everybody's on the same page, we have talked about and proposed an amendment to the asset transfer agreement that extends that deadline. Now, the document in your package reflects the December 31st, 2026 deadline. The city has requested that be revised to October 31st of 2026, and because we're looking to close, sometime in October. And if we need to come back and ask for further extension on it, it's nothing that is. We anticipate none of the parties intend to walk away from this transaction now that we've done all this and are ready to close. But we'd like to make sure that everything is documented such that that's not even a possibility. So I've got two issues. First of all, I'm going to ask if you have any questions.
So in our recitals, it does mention December 31st, 2026. That's not an issue then?
No, we're going to have.
Our target is going to be mid-October, in spite of whatever this.
Yeah, October 15th. And what we're going to ask the board to do is to modify the amendment to the asset transfer agreement to reflect on October 31st. But really, what you're doing is you're giving Pablo authority to execute on the amendment, and what we're asking you to do is to modify the amendment to reflect a October 31st, 2026 extension rather than a December 31st.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Other questions?
So, Doug, I was just wondering, because I know that the title on the property was something that I know that Preston Hall has been after for quite some time. So I'm assuming that if once the bonds are paid, then the title goes to, they're just holding it as collateral, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, and then once the debt is paid off, then it'll be reassigned to IDHD. Is that correct?
Yes, but the reality of the situation is such that probably any bonds that we have to take these out as new bonds, and any new bonds that in order to not just take out the 118 million that's still outstanding with the bondholders, the bondholders, but for maybe some new financing for additional capital needs and things like that that are required. We're not there yet, but the market is such that any new bond issuance probably would require real estate as security in any event. And so what's likely to happen, I'm not saying it will happen, is that yes, they'll release it, but we'll probably have to encumber the real estate with the new bond insurance in any event. So, yeah, it only secures the debt. It is nothing they can act on as long as they continue to pay and stay in good graces with the terms of the bonds, which we will be doing. Other questions?
And what's the current interest rate conveys? What's the current interest rate or cost of capital?
So there's three different
Three
rates.
different tranches.
Yeah, 4.5%, 5%, and 5.5%. The largest one being 5.5%.
Which is a pretty good deal in this day and age.
Okay.
I have a question.
I think it's on the other side, upside down.
There it is. I have a question, just as a reminder, just to make sure I'm understanding correctly. When you're stating about, in here where it says about the property, what's the value of the real property that's gonna be from El Centro Regional, that's gonna be held under deed of trust?
Do you know what that valuation is, Dave?
Not without going to look. Each property has its own separate and distinct value. So whether it's the property here, is that the one I assume you're referring to?
Well, that's the only
It'd
property
be all
issue.
property, because or I don't know, is
But
it
we
saying
have
that only selected properties are gonna be established as a deed of trust after, or is it all of the hospital property?
All of the property that was formerly owned by ECRMC, which is what we call the El Centro campus,
Right.
will be encumbered.
Okay.
They're not encumbering the property up in Raleigh for other reasons.
And what is that value?
I'd have to go look.
Do you have an idea?
I don't.
Mhm.
Any number that I have would be a guess without going to look for it.
Does
But that would have been in all of the documents.
I do recall that it was a lot more than what is owed on the bonds. It was in the
And-
200 million.
It is.
I wanna say
It was not.
No, that's the total valuation
Yeah.
for the entire enterprise of ECRMC.
Yeah.
Pablo, what do you know?
This was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, I want to say the total value of the entire organization, I want to say was around 160 to 170 million,
Yeah.
to include not just the real estate, but all the property, all of the assets, all the renovations, all the projects, everything that was all invested in the organization. It's about 160 to 170 million.
Well, also the operations,
Yeah.
including all the revenues and things like that that are
But also,
anticipated.
all of those reports were shown here, so they would be in our board minutes, but they were also given to the city as well. But I want to say that was at least a year and a half ago that we,
About 2 years ago.
yeah,
So we did the
at least
assessment
when
appraisal.
VMG came through and did the appraisal. Yeah, I want to say it was about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So is there gonna be a new appraisal done, or are you gonna go off?
There's
2
not.
years? You're gonna go from 2 years back?
We are.
Yes.
And may I ask why that is?
Money. Well, that's me as the CFO speaking. I want to pay for it again.
Cost quite a bit, didn't it?
It is.
Yeah, I remember.
What we can do is even afterwards we can send the report along that VMG produced 2 years ago.
Yeah,
No, I'm just asking too for
I think
information.
it's very possible that they'll want updated real estate appraisals.
Mhm.
But since the work has already been done, it should not
Should be
cost
cost.
nearly as much as it did initially, if you're required to do that.
Okay, yeah, cause I was wondering if somebody can do a deal with a 2-year-old figure, but.
Yeah, probably not, but
Yeah,
I would.
Dave would, but I wouldn't.
I want to pay
speaks
for
a
it.
lot, David.
I want to pay for it.
But we'll deal with that as we go through the documentation necessary to tie up all of these things with respect to the bond transfer.
If you give me a minute, I'll be able to find it here real soon.
Oh, thank you.
Any further questions or comments on this item?
Hearing none, I'm gonna, ask for two distinct, votes. First would be on the approval of the, Preston Hollow term sheet, and authorize, Pablo to sign on that.
So I would like to motion to approve the Preston Hollow Community Capital term sheet and authorize, the CEO to authorize it to sign it. Can I get a second, please?
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Trustee Marroquin?
Yes.
Trustee Carter? Yes. Trustee Camarena?
Yes.
Trustee Elder?
Yes.
Trustee Crenshaw? Yes. Trustee Mason? Absent. Trustee Chesky?
Yes.
Eight ayes.
And so then, item number 2 within this item is approve the
Yes.
first amendment to the asset transfer agreement and authorize the CEO to sign. So the amendment would be to move up the closing date to October 31st, 2026 instead of December 31st.
Rather than closing date, move up the provision in the asset transfer agreement that allows for any party to terminate.
Oh,
the
extending,
agreement.
yeah, extending from
that
August the
deadline
1st through October.
From August 1st.
Right.
August 1st.
Sorry, I had that backwards.
No, that's okay.
Mhm.
From August 1st, 26 to, October 31st, 26.
Okay, so, again, I would like to motion to approve the first amendment to the asset transfer agreement and authorize the CEO to sign the agreement, and may I get a second, please? Thank you.
Trustee Marroquin?
Yes.
Trustee Carter? Yes. Trustee Camarena?
Yes.
Trustee Elder?
Yes.
Trustee Crenshaw? Trustee Mason? Absent. Trustee Chesky?
Yes.
Thank you all very much.
Oh, that's a huge sigh of relief.
You can tell us.
And I don't, I'm sorry to sign.
I know, but after 2 years,
Okay, so we will now move on to the finance and operational update. Item number 5, review and approval of the financial statements for the month and year-to-date as of June 2026.
Happy Monday, everyone.
Yes.
Before you move on, David just pulled the fair market value for the hospital, and it was $69 million for low, 71.5 million midpoint, and then $74 million the high point.
For the main campus.
That's for the main campus.
That was something.
Does that include the ASB and the,
It does.
NIW that includes?
Includes the ASB and all the seismic work too.
That's
Where did
low.
Where did that value come from?
VMG,
What is that?
a company, a consulting group.
An appraisal.
The evaluation of prices.
I think we had words with them about the new buildings as well in that, discussion, but, those were the numbers that came up.
So they gave that right now, based on today's rates.
No, that was 2 years ago.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I wanna say
That's what I wanted
the
to
report
clarify.
was,
Okay, so that was 2 years ago.
yeah, October actually of 24 is when the report was released. Okay, yeah, would you mind making that quite a bit bigger? So again, just month over month historicals for volumes in the hospital. I do want to note that the patient days did exceed budget for the year by 1,500, showing that the inpatient has been exceedingly busy since the first of the year. I want to say it was around Christmas time 2 years ago. It got super busy. It stayed super busy for probably 2 or 3 months, kind of lull through the summer. And then in December again of 25, it got super busy again, and it has stayed super busy all the way up until now. We're still averaging around 50 to 60 patients a day as an ADC. So just over the top portion is just a 3 months. The bottom graph is the rolling 12-month trend. Next page, I'll go over the balance sheet. You can see for cash and cash equivalents at the end of May was 4.2 million. For the end of June was 10.8 million. That reflects the receipt of 11 million in the Small Rural Health Grant Program. Patient receivables increased by 523 to reflect the volumes for that month. And then days cash on hand end for the month was 26.57. DSCR, debt service coverage ratio at 2.9, and current ratio at 2.2. Yes, ma'am.
I was just gonna ask.
For the next page on the P&L, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna ask if anybody had any questions or comments on.
Okay. Again, on the P&L, really just kind of reflect through the month change for prior month versus the actual year to date. So again, I'm going to kind of start at the top where you have all of your revenue generated, contractually adjusted off the amount that you negotiate with the payers for your actual total revenue generated for the month. The second section is all of those things that you'll pay out in that month or that you accrue an expense for, whether you actually paid the cash or not. You're still accruing for it, and that gets you to a net. So for the current month, June, 67 million in total operating revenue against 53 million for the prior month revenue. Deductions for that month is 54 million versus prior month of 41.6, for total net revenues of 11.9 versus 12.8. If you look at the next two columns, you can see year over year, ending June 2025, 707 million in total operating revenue, 717 in 2026, 526 million in deductions, 564 million for current year deductions, for a total net revenue of 152 million. So everything we generate in profit for the year. The next section down are all just expenses. For the month of June, 5.2 million in expenses. That's always going to be your largest portion of expenses for that month. And then your total operating expenses for 13 million. The next two columns, again, you have the first column is 2025, the middle column is 2026, and then the final column is the budget. 62.6 for last year, 62.5 for this year. 157 million total for last year's expenses, 159 million total for this year's expenses. Last year operating revenue profit of 23.5, this year loss of 6.8. And then on the bottom section, this is kind of where we talk about the non-operating things that don't generate, or revenue that's generated from not a patient visit. So this year you'll see the 6.2 million, which again is recognized from the forbearance or the waiver of the DHLP, and then 11 million receipt in revenue for the grant. So again, the month-to-date profit is 11.6 EBITDA. Last year, EBITDA was 38. This year is 25.9. I know it's a lot of numbers thrown all at once. Happy to go over any of it. And if it would be helpful, I'm more than happy to go to the mouse and kind of highlight some of those items if that would be more helpful.
Why is registry planning so fast?
We have had a couple of staff lossage where it's director of pharmacy is probably the main one. We're still sourcing a PET nuke CT tech. That's probably the two biggest components of it. I think there's an ultrasound tech in there as well, if memory serves.
Yeah, those will be the areas.
But those areas generally are really hard to find anyhow. I think there's like 4 PET techs in the whole state.
Your income generating.
Okay, so any questions or comments for Dave on the statement of operations?
Nope. There will be some changes to, or there's almost always some changes to the end of fiscal year, whether when we go through the audit, there's always a couple of changes. They want us to recognize some software revenues generated, or how we recognize some of the capitalization of assets. So there's generally a few things that change, but you shouldn't see a material change month over month from the end of June. The last thing I do want to say, 3 years of profitability in a row. It came through the last minute with the grant, but $11 million grant is still a grant, and that's still profitability.
So when does that payout come out?
It's in the books now. So on the prior sheet, you'll see the cash balance for for the month of May ending at 4.2, and we ended at 10.8. That does reflect the 11 million receipt in cash.
So that's been actually received already?
It is. And generally, we're floating around 12 to 13 million in actual cash, as we continue to try and protect some of that cash so we can get through closing. So there you'll see a dip in cash, generally because it'll be, it's probably on a payroll week. So your payroll is generally around 2.25, and then an AP week, and it might have been a higher AP week because we have vendors that are really asking for payment. So that was probably a higher AP week of 1.5. So you could have a swing of anywhere between 4 to 5.5 million every week. It is.
Anybody have any questions on your cash flow? I guess it doesn't look as bleak as it has in other months.
Yeah. Just keep in mind, in the month of August, we still have to pay out
Right.
$7.5 million to the state for IGTs.
Right. That's what I was asking, is when does that payout come out? You know, come out?
We'll push on it. Last year it paid October 5th.
Okay, so, does that conclude your
Yes, ma'am.
report on the financials? Okay, so this is an action item, so I will motion to approve the financial statements for the month and year to date as of June 2026. May I get a second, please? Thank you.
Trustee Malauulu?
Yes.
Trustee Carter? Yes. Trustee Camarena?
Yes.
Trustee Elliott?
Yes.
Trustee Crenshaw? Trustee Mesa, absent. Dr. Chesky?
Yes.